afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nia, and right next to me I have Toriana. She's the guest for today. Today we're going to talk about school, work, and just some other things, whatever comes to mind. So, first, I want to ask Toriana, um, what made you start in with social work?
Well, I started with social work as a undergrad. I studied social work all the way up till my senior year, and then I ended up switching my major over to communications, media, and theater. But with the school that I attend, regardless of like what um, major you study, it's a social justice and a social based school. So even with me being in the communications, media, and theater department, we performed plays that were social justice driven. Talked about real issues like homelessness, domestic violence, and things like that. So that's how I got started.
Oh, that's cool. What school did you attend?
I attended Northeastern Illinois University, and I recently graduated, so I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's really good. What do you plan on doing with your degree?
I plan to continue to pursue the arts.
Okay.
So hopefully I can start back with writing, and I will be tackling issues such as experiences with foster care and things like that. That is my goal with writing and with acting. I will continue with that, and just make sure that whatever I do, that I give back to communities, I give back to people, because I mean we need one another, and that's what's important. So.
What type of things with foster care, if you don't mind me asking?
More so like foster care advocacy, to basically advocate for people to adopt more. With my personal experience in foster care, I know that there can be a lot of trauma and abuse that young children, as young as I was like 4 or 5 years old when I was in foster care. So, and going through that experience of like physical abuse, mental abuse, and like seeing violent acts that young children shouldn't see at a young age, that can have a lot of like trauma and torment to a young kid's mind. And when they get older, it makes it hard for that child, regardless of like their socioeconomic background, regardless of their race, ethnicity. They end up having trust issues, and it's hard for them to like get readjusted into society, where we could have like those societal norms of communication and being open to communication and things like that. So like, pushing people to adopt and pushing people to take into consideration the developmental issues and the psychological issues and the mental issues and emotional issues that we can have when we are taken away from our parents, and not placed in homes that foster the developmental growth of our well-being. So yeah, I think that is most definitely important. So if we can adopt children more often, and we can make sure that when children are taken away from their birth parents, that they are placed in the best home possible, and to most definitely not overlook when there are issues of like domestic violence or any type of abuse that is going on in the home, whether it's with the child or whether it's indirectly in their environment. I think that, we need to pay attention to that and do what is best interest for the child.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, because some people do it sadly for just the money.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
That's not a good thing, because everyone needs love, and you shouldn't just
Yeah, I
do
agree.
something bad to somebody because you just want the check and that's it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. We are, we're human beings, and we are not. No one else's child is, just a get rich quick scheme, or just a comfort cushion for, your pockets. Like this is a real human being that someone gave birth to and someone cares about. Even if you don't care, like if you don't care about the child, then don't look into adoption, don't look into foster care. But if you do care, you really do have a heart to, raise up a child to be the best that that child can be, then by all means go for it. But we do need to challenge the system, and I believe that there need to be some revisions. Yeah.
Most definitely. Did you have like a good foster home?
In the beginning of my experiences, most of my experiences were experiences that were family, like being placed with family before I was placed with like I don't want to call it like strangers, but people that I didn't know. So while I was under the care of my family members, yeah, I had like the best care. If I were to compare my custodial care with my family members versus with the family that I didn't know, I would say that I had a little bit of a better experience with my family members for the most part, not for the entire thing, because even in their experience, like with me living with them, like, there were some things that I experienced that were, they were unfortunate. I didn't ask for it, and I ended up being placed with a family that I didn't know, and that didn't make the situation better because I still ended up experiencing abuse and things like that. So, but yeah, other than that, I came out fine. It's because I was fortunate enough to end up being placed back into my mom's care when she was inept and capable and competent, I guess, enough as a parent.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We
do
have
so.
a call on air. Caller?
Hey, caller.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? Great program, great subject. What gets to me is I want to see if you agree with me. What gets me is when a boy makes 5, 6 babies with 5 or 6 different women, he should be called a boy. A man is who takes care of his kids. That's a man. Now, I want to know why there isn't any more adoption. I adopted, so I understand exactly what the young lady saying. But do you agree with me with the difference between a boy and a man about either taking care of their kids or not taking care of their kids? Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Honestly, I feel like, yes, there's a difference because, honestly, from my point of view, I think a man should take care of his children. However, sometimes life happens. Not everyone has like grown up with that type of view or image of another man. Especially in the black community, a lot of males do not have their fathers. And it's hard for someone to know how to be a dad or to do the right thing sometimes if they don't have the right role model. Not giving any excuses, but you just can't. It's kind of like a little gray area because you never know what that person is thinking. You never know what happens. But yeah, I think a man should take care of his children. Even if you're a boy and you decide to have kids, you still you have to take that responsibility no matter what area you do to have to take care of your kids.
I agree with Nia. I think another thing that we should take in consideration as people too, to have like compassion and to put ourselves in the situation, like into the shoes of the person. We need to be in consideration of what is their background. Did they come from a broken home? Cross culturally, family breakdown. It doesn't have a skin tone. It doesn't matter if you're African American, Caucasian, if you're French, if you're, come from a Hispanic community, or what ethnicity you are. Family breakdown happens everywhere. I believe that we need to take into consideration that regardless of, what someone's family background is, if a man has any revelation or any knowledge as to how to be a man and how to take care of how to take care of children in this age, then why not look back to the younger one and teach that young man how to take care of his children? I mean, I think that that would be more beneficial to the community at large than just to say, oh well, he's a deadbeat, he doesn't know how to take care of his kids. When, okay, what are you doing to ensure that he does know how to take care of his children, regardless if you know this young man or this older man or not? What are you doing to make sure that he does take care of his children? Are you giving any advice? Are you trying to take this young man under your wing, and trying to teach him the right way to go? Or are you just passing on judgment? So, I think that's the dividing factor, and that's the dividing line between a man and, I guess, a boy, as so you say. But I say that it's a dividing factor of being judgmental and actually taking responsibility for your actions, and also to help that person take responsibility of his actions as well, so that everything will be a good outcome.
Yeah, I agree with you. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
On that note, excuse me, what do you think about, so in Grand Boulevard Coalition, we try to get teens to not use drugs or alcohol, like underage drinking or alcohol use. What are some thoughts that we can do to help better the promotion of don't drink or use alcohol and stuff, and don't drink or use drugs?
I would most definitely say, from my experience, taking that I used to do both, first and foremost, know the impact, the negative impact that it has on your health, it has on your body, and not to be naive of the truth. Truth of the matter is that regardless of whether you're doing alcohol or whether you're doing drugs, it's not beneficial for your health, and it's not going to help you in the long run. Even if you're trying to use it as a way of an escape, even if you're trying to use it to take your mind off of things, or to even enjoy yourself. Like, at the end of the day, you're not benefiting yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, especially not physically, because it does have, especially on your mental health and your spiritual health, it does have an effect. Like, for example, I was listening to this doctor. He was talking about alcohol and why he is opposed to alcohol, and he said that every time that you drink alcohol, you're deadening the dendrites that are in your brain. That helps, and if anyone ever had a science class, that dendrites that are really, really imperative to your brain functioning. Yeah. So to know that every time you take a sip of alcohol and you take more than enough of it, you're killing off part of your brain that you need it to function right and properly. I mean, that should be enough, but it isn't. But I would just say that, for me, it was when I made a decision that I didn't want to do that anymore, and I wanted to live my life according to the way that it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm not supposed to be drinking. I'm not supposed to be doing drugs. And so, when I stepped over to the other side, and with my faith and what I believe in, and was shown why I shouldn't, I'm like, well, hey, I don't ever want to do it again, Mm-hmm. So I think that it takes that person to actually wake up and see that, hey, no matter what's going on, and every time I go to this bottle or every time I go to this drug, my situation isn't changing.
Yeah.
So let me just give it up.
Yeah. We have a call on air caller. Oh, okay. Well, the caller hung up. Okay.
Okay. Well.
All right. Well, yeah, those are some really good points. Because a lot of people, they use it as a scapegoat, and from me being in science classes, I learned that alcohol is actually an inhibitor, so it inhibits you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's why a lot of people get it depends on the person. A lot of people have mood swings or get angry or sad, but it really inhibits you from like actually being who you are. But yeah, what do you think we can do in the communities to help?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that like spreading the word about like the true actual effects, because I don't think that a lot of people really realize the effects that drugs and alcohol have to your body and your mental capacity to actually think and be able to take care of yourself. I don't. Oh,
I'm sorry, we got a caller.
Hi,
Caller?
my question is, as young people yourselves, what do you think about parents or guardians who invite their children to smoke or drink with them, and when they say, yeah, I'd rather they do it with me at home than to do it somewhere else where I don't know what they're doing? Do you think that that's the right way to go, or what do you think about it?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I think if the parent already knows the child is doing it, and for most people, like parenting, like you can only go so far, because at the end of the day, once the kid gets to a certain age, it's their decision what they want to do. You can tell them not to do it as much as possible. But some people are just like, I'd rather for you to do it with me than with anyone else, because that way they know like how much you're consuming. They can control kind of what you're doing, and they can see what's going to happen to you, instead of you being out with someone else and then they don't know what's happening to you, or they don't know like if you might not come home, which they know like she's already, or he or she's already at home, they're okay, they're not leaving, like they're fine. So for some parents it's a security issue, it's a security thing. I don't I can't really say if it's right or wrong, because at the end of the day, for some people, you would rather feel safe if it's like with you than with someone else. And then two, I don't know. I really can't say if it's right or wrong, because I don't know what I would do in that situation.
For me, in that situation where a parent is making it okay for their child to drink around him, her, or them. For me, on the other end, I don't believe that is okay, because at that point, the parent serves as an enabler to the child, and I'm just thinking about the message that the parent is teaching the child at that point, and the detrimental effects that can have on that family line, like, from generation to generation to generation. Because the way I look at it is, the parent is teaching the child that it is okay to get drunk or smoke and get high around your family members, and it's okay to allow your children and your children's children to do the same thing. And I don't think that is a good message to pass on from parent to child. I don't think that those are good habits, and that is just my personal opinion. And coming from my background, if I had a child that wanted to explore drinking and wanted to do it around me, I wouldn't tolerate it. I wouldn't put up with that. And I most definitely would not allow any of my family members to drink with my child or smoke with my child either. So that is my standpoint on it.
So like I had like I shouldn't associate at school, and her mom actually let her drink with her and stuff like that, but it was only after her mom found out that she was drinking, and she knew that she was gonna do it anyway. And then also like people at school, like the girl, she actually found it better to be at home than actually go out, because when she went out with her friends, if everybody was drinking, she knew like she had to find a ride home. She doesn't know like everything, so I don't know. I don't think that it's right, but then I can't really, because if the person says, no, I don't want you doing this, you can't do this, you can't do this in my house, and they kick their kid out or say you can't do this, and then the kid winds up dead or something, because people think about this stuff. I don't know, it would be like really like hard on them, like, oh my gosh, like if I only just did this, but I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing, but I don't think that I don't know, it's not really my place to say, like, what's going on, because we don't know the situation.
Yeah, true, exactly. So, yeah, but, yeah,
But I agree with you,
yeah,
what you're saying, like.
It's, yeah, that's a tricky question to ask, because, you know, parents, they are the gatekeepers of their children, and so you know, they monitor, you know, what goes out and what comes into their household, and just because, you know, your child may do it safely around you doesn't mean that they're going to do it safely when they're not around you. So I'm just still thinking about the whole enabling factor, instead of, you know, teaching the child or children the implications of, okay, what actually does happen when you drink and you drink too much, because some people can't drink at all because they don't have the tolerance for it. They drink one drink and they're out, or they have one, you know, smoke of something and they're out. They don't have that tolerance. So it's like, you know, when you have cases like that, to me it's just all around. It's not safe parenting habits to pass on to a child.
Yeah, and then I also think on like what type of parent you are, because I know certain parents, they already set like a boundary, so you know, like before you become an age of drinking or doing drugs, like you know what you can or cannot do, because you're always in the house with your parents. You know your parents, so you know what you can and cannot do around them. So I really think it's up to like the parents who set the boundary. If you didn't set that type of boundary while they were young, or whatever, then I don't think that they would think twice about doing certain things, because again, the kid learns from you. So I think parents have to set a boundary and let them know. And then also talk to your kids. A lot of people are afraid to talk to them. Talk to them, ask them questions. You don't have to be like drilling them like they like a FBI or anything, but just have conversations with them. Let them know the dangers of it. And the best thing for a teen to have is a person that they can talk to. And if they don't feel like they can talk to you, then that's the number one problem.
Yeah, like most definitely you want to let your children know the truth. And I mean, once after you do that and you do the best you can, at that point, you know, the parent has done the best that he or she can. And at that point, it's all up to the child. Hopefully the child will make the right decisions after that. But once the parent does what is right, then the parent can, you know, say, hey, I've done the best that I could. Now it is you're an adult. You know, you have to take responsibility for your own actions. And at the end of the day, when we grow up to be adults, we do have to take responsibility of our own actions. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We had a wonderful conversation. See you later. We'll be back here next Thursday at 5:30. Right. Have a nice evening.